May 22, 1946. Over 5,000 people gathered in a Prague courtyard. They were not there for a celebration. Parents brought their children on their shoulders to watch a monster pay for his crimes. This was the public execution of Karl Hermann Frank, the Nazi butcher who wiped an entire village off the map. And in that crowd were the very people whose lives Frank had destroyed. To understand why the crowd cheered, you have to look at what this man did. Karl Hermann Frank was born in what is now the Czech Republic, raised on a diet of extreme German nationalism. He climbed swiftly through the ranks of the Nazi Party, helping Adolf Hitler dismantle Czechoslovakia from within. Soon, he became one of the most powerful men in occupied Bohemia and Moravia. As the SS and police chief, Frank ruled through fear, mass arrests, and brutal repression. But even Frank answered to someone. Reinhard Heydrich. Known as the Butcher of Prague, Heydrich was one of Hitler's most feared officials and a primary architect of the Holocaust. His reign of terror was so ruthless that the Czechoslovak government in exile, working alongside British intelligence, launched a daring mission to eliminate him. The mission was codenamed Operation Anthropoid. On May 27, 1942, two trained resistance fighters ambushed Heydrich's car in the streets of Prague. Their Sten gun jammed, but a modified grenade exploded beside the vehicle, fatally wounding him. Days later, Heydrich died. Hitler was furious. He demanded an act of revenge so brutal it would terrify the Czech people into absolute submission. Frank was the man who carried out those orders. He chose the small, quiet village of Lidice. The Nazis claimed the village had assisted the assassins. There was never a single piece of credible evidence linking them to the attack. Lidice was simply a convenient scapegoat. Before dawn on June 10, 1942, Nazi troops surrounded the village. Every single man over the age of 15 was separated from his family and executed. 173 men were murdered that morning. The women were deported to the Ravensbrück concentration camp. The children were torn from their mothers' arms. A handful, judged visually suitable for Germanization, were taken away to be raised by SS families. The rest were liquidated in gas vans. Then, the Nazis erased the village itself. Homes were burned to the ground. The church was demolished, the cemetery was desecrated, the roads were torn up, and the nearby river diverted. Even the name Lidice was wiped from the maps. Frank wanted the world to believe the village had never existed, but the plan backfired. News of the massacre sparked global outrage. A worldwide campaign, Lidice Shall Live, raised funds to rebuild the village after the war. From Illinois to Brazil, towns changed their names to Lidice, ensuring the world would never forget. But justice would find Frank swiftly. In May 1945, as Nazi Germany collapsed, Frank fled toward American lines, hoping to surrender to U.S. forces and escape Czech justice. He was wrong. The Americans handed him right back to Czechoslovakia. His trial in Prague exposed the full, horrifying weight of his crimes, the absolute destruction of Lidice, and the murder of thousands of innocent civilians. He was found guilty of war crimes and sentenced to death. The execution method was not a standard long drop hanging. They used the Austro-Hungarian pole method. Unlike a long drop execution, it did not rely on a broken neck. Instead, Frank died by slow strangulation on a wooden post. As the executioner finished his work, the very people Frank had tried to break erupted into cheers. It was the last public execution in Prague's history. Frank had tried to erase Lidice from the fabric of history. Instead, Lidice was rebuilt. Its name became a global symbol of defiance and remembrance. Karl Hermann Frank is remembered only for the atrocities he committed. History never forgets. Was this true justice? Or was it far too merciful? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe these stories must never be forgotten, subscribe for more history uncovered.